In this video, I'm going to show you how to automatically trigger actions to make.com from Airtable. For example, once the status on this particular Airtable is updated, it will instantly trigger the action. Another approach I will show you is once these buttons are clicked, then they will trigger separate actions within the same make.com scenario. The approach of using buttons can work in the free version of Airtable. This version will require the paid version of Airtable. So why would we even do this? There's two reasons. First off is that if we create a watch records action in make.com, as you see here, by default, it runs at a regular interval. Now, that's not ideal because things don't happen instantly. Another kind of unfortunate thing is that every time that schedule is run, it uses at least one operation. And if you're running that every 15 minutes constantly, then that's going to take up thousands of operations per month. I'm going to explain first how to create these buttons because it's available within the free version of Airtable. I'll just create a new button here, and we need to create a URL formula. I'm just going to call this Analyze Images button and open URL. Instead of creating an Airtable Watch Records module, we need to create a webhook. A webhook is a tool that we can set up here that will listen out for data from other applications. So we're going to add in a webhook, and I'm just going to click save on that, and I'll copy the address to the clipboard. I'll then go to URL formula here. So I'll open up a quotation mark and copy that in. Next up, we need to do question mark, which is to add items to the query string. I'll just type in ID equals. You can kind of write what you want there. Then ampersand, and then start typing record. Select the record ID that comes up, and then close the bracket. Then press save. Okay, we have the button set up. We can change the name of that button, so we're just going to type analyze image. Right. I'm going to select run. Oh yeah, I'll press save on this module. Press OK, save, and run once. Now this is listening out for calls to that webhook. I'm going to select analyze image, and this comes up with accepted. We go back and we see that that has been received. We have the ID. So that's the Airtable record ID. We then need to go to Airtable and then get that record because we only have the record ID. We select the correct base, select the table, and then record ID, select the ID, and press OK. Now we're going to run once and do that again. Analyze image, accepted, and that's done. Okay, it's got the record. There's not much here, but it has got the record. Now, next up, we can then just, let's say we just add another single line of text to say image response, or no, image analysis, and then long text. Now we'll just do a basic action just to show you something that you could do with this data. And I'm going to update that existing row. The record ID, you would pass in the record from this get record. And then I'm just going to write an image analysis of image is analyzed. Obviously, in reality, you would do you would have a process here in the middle of all this. So I'll run once and try that again. Now when I'm doing this, I'm going to use the middle mouse button to open up in a new tab. Reason being that we can then skip this page from opening up on the screen. Now, image is analyzed. So it worked. It went to the custom webhook, got the record, and updated the record. Now you can do what you want with that. What about if you have two buttons? So we can create a separate button, and I'm going to duplicate this field, and I'm going to call this, generate content, and I'm just going to copy and paste that to generate content. Now we can actually use the same scenario for this. What you do is you click, or you would write ampersand and then open up your bracket and then construct some extra stuff to add to this URL. I'm going to pass in action equals generate content. Then I'm going to go to analyze images and then copy and paste what I just written for the other one, and then analyze images, and then save. Now let's run that again and see what happens. Click run once, and then click generate content. Go back into this. Right, it was on generate content, but it did the same action as before. So now we'll add in a router. add a router, and set up a filter here. So this is where the condition, the action is equal to analyze images, is the first one. And then the second option will be where condition is generate content. And I will just copy, so I hold the shift button and then copy modules and paste modules. I'll link those together and then delete that module. Right. And then I'm going to update the record, but in this case, I'm going to say content generated. Now I've turned this on. So this is now on, and this data will process immediately every time the button is clicked. I'll now go in here, I'll delete this here, and I'll open up this analyze image. Now, when looking at that, I realize that I must have, when I copied this in, it must have copied the filter above. So I need to go back into this, generate content. Now press save. Now I'll click on analyze image. It's gone through this workflow. I'll click generate content. That's updated. It's gone through that workflow. Perfect. So that's how to create buttons. And as I mentioned, it's in the free version of Airtable. Next up, I'll show you how to instantly trigger things without having to press a button within Airtable. This is going to use an automation within Airtable. I'm going to set it up so that every time you update the status here, it will trigger this scenario within make.com. I have this set up to create a custom webhook like we did previously. I'm getting the record, similar to how we did previously as well, and I'm just updating this text when it's done. I'm going to delete this, and I'm just going to revert these back to their original values. What we need to do here is to set up an automation within Airtable. So go to automations. Again, you need a paid version of Airtable to do this. Add in an action to run a script, and then go into the code. And you need to copy and paste in this code. On the left-hand side, I've added in an input variable, which is an ID. This is the Airtable record ID. Again, this is very similar to the previous approach where we're passing in the Airtable record ID, but in this case, we need to define this input variable and then copy and paste this code into the script. So we have input config, that's the ID, and we need to copy and paste in the webhook. So you just paste in your webhook there and then add this into the end, question mark ID equals. And that's the data we're passing to the webhook. And I'm going to then test that. So I will click run once, and wait for new data, and test. And then run tests. Okay, we see test has run successfully, and the ID has been populated here, which is good. And that's all looking good. I have a filter set up here, which is that the status needs to be generate text in order to go to the next stage. That's a way we can then control the actions. This automation is now on, and then I'm going to X out of that and go back. When I update the status of this now, then it should trigger the automation. I have now scheduled this on at the bottom left, and we will see what happens. So I'm going to go to status and select generate text. Now wait a few seconds. And there we go, it's done. It's not fully instant, but it's very quick. This is your generated text. And if I change that to complete, it will go through the process, but it will not go through this filter. In reality, of course, you would link this to an OpenAI module or to some AI text generation where it would take the values of this and then populate the generated text. I'm not going to do it here because that kind of thing is covered in loads of our other videos. If you want access to all of our automations that you can import to make.com at the click of a button, then check out the link in the description where you can get access to all of our automations as well as lots of practical advice like you've seen in this video. Thanks for watching.